Kia ora tātou, welcome back to the Wargaming Den. Something a bit different for you this week. I kind of got sidetracked when I was doing my Kiwi infantry for the Italian theatre. I had lots of spare 8th Army figures left, so I thought I would dabble in making some more infantry up for the Burma campaign, which ended up painting up a lot of figures, converting quite a few of them just using 2 boxes, and then I added some Japanese as well. So I've somehow ended up dabbling in the Burma campaign. So that's what we're going to look at today. And today I'm just going to try a different rule set. I've got the original rapid fire rules. I got them in the late 90s or 2000-ish and played them a wee bit, but then we got totally into Flames of War for about 15 years or so. So that was my main rule set for a long time. But I've just bought and downloaded the Rapid Fire Reloaded rules. I quite like the look of them, so I'm going to try this little engagement I'm about to show you using the Rapid Fire rules. So we'll see how that goes. So the Battle of Sangshak took place on the 19th to the 26th of March. The 50th Indian Paratroop Brigade had moved into the Sangshak area to get some advanced jungle training. They had been told to expect maybe the odd Japanese patrol, but that was about it. It was a quiet sector of the front. The British had absolutely no idea that 2 Japanese divisions were sneaking through the jungle trying to outflank Imphal and capture Kohima in the invasion of India. So the Paras first encountered them on the morning of the 19th when a large Japanese force attacked C Company on Hill 7378. The other 2 paratroop companies, A and B, were down on other hills at Gammon and also Badger Hill near Sheldon Corner. They weren't able to support C Company. The positions were too isolated from each other with all the jungle, etc. So C Company ended up having a major fight by themselves. And yeah, the delaying action had important ramifications for the way that the rest of the battle unfolded. So 152nd Battalion HQ was down at Sangshak itself, and the Brigade HQ at a place called Finch's Corner, which was on the main road linking Imphal and Kohima, and the 50th Medium Machine Gun Company was up at Ukral. So the Indian troops were very scattered and isolated when they first encountered this very large and very unexpected force of Japanese that had completely caught Slim and the 14th Army by surprise. As I said, I'm just going to do a small infantry engagement. Basically, C Company of the 152nd Paratroop Battalion is going to consist of 3 platoons, each of 8 figures, a medium machine gun, a medium mortar. The mortars were actually located back at Sheldon's Corner with maybe A or B companies from memory, a sniper team, and then the Japanese will be elements of 3rd Battalion of the 58th Imperial Japanese Army Regiment, and they're going to have 6 platoons each with 10 figures, medium machine gun, medium mortar, and sniper. So I'm thinking about using rapid fire at more of a company to battalion rather than a brigade level rule set potentially. And so I'm wondering whether or not I actually add light machine guns and possibly even submachine guns in time to the rules, but I'll just play it as a standard rule set to start with and just see how that goes. Let's have a look at the Indian deployment. So they were on top of Hill 7378. They had just replaced another unit that had been deployed up there. There were some foxholes and trenches, but it was not a well prepared position. There was no barbed wire or anything like that. So they've got 3 platoons spread out on the perimeter, medium machine gun covering the centre, mortar nearby. Medium mortar in reality was actually back on one of the other hills with A company, B company. Japanese, they weren't expecting them till a large body of Japanese appeared on the horizon. Japanese were advancing towards Sangshak and also going to head along this road towards Sheldon Corner. But rather than just outflanking and ignoring this position, the Japanese decided to just try and overwhelm it the first day. Not a great deal of action on turn one. Japanese advanced through the jungle and along the road up here. Weren't able to spot any of the dug-in paratroopers on the hill ahead of them. Turn to Japanese. Japanese are just advancing up onto point 7378, unaware that the Indian Paras are waiting and have spotted them. So, Paras turn, see what happens. Right, turn two. The company and the medium machine gun opened fire on the Japanese infantry company advancing in the open there. Did 4 casualties on them. So first blood to the British. The mortar from back here tried to range in twice on the same target but missed. So we're on to Japanese turn number 3. Japanese turn 3, advancing up the hill with 3 companies outflanking over here. This platoon took 2 casualties, was due to rifle fire. The medium machine gun was hit by mortar and also by the medium machine gun in the tree line over there. 2 casualties, but they get discounted. So on to the Paras turn 3. Turn 4 Japanese. Japanese are advancing onto the hills. They've fired smoke from the mortar in front of that platoon there. The other platoon's taken 4 losses from these 2 Japanese platoons that are swarming up to the top of the hill. So over to the Paras turn 4. Okay, the Paras continue to hold off the Japanese. They've managed to destroy another platoon charging up the hill here. A couple of casualties on this platoon here as well. But they're starting to take losses themselves as we move on to Japanese turn 5. Right, end of turn 5. Morale checks were needed. These Japanese here rolled a 2. They ended up routing off the board, retreating. These guys pulled back a turn. So not enough left of them to hold or to overwhelm the Paras at this point, so the Japanese slunk back into the jungle. The Paras have held the hill. And there we have it, just a quick little battle to get a feel for the rapid fire reloaded rules. I've been using bolt action over the last few weeks, but although I enjoy it, there are aspects of the rules that I'm not overly keen on, so I wanted to try rapid fire, and I actually really enjoyed this version of rapid fire much more than the original rules. The charts were a bit 1980s, 1990s. I like the fact that it's just a dice roll, and for every 2 casualties you take a standoff, and it actually matches with the way I've decided to base my stuff for bolt action as well. So yeah, it played well. It was an infantry engagement. There was no tanks or anti-tank guns, just a couple of mortar pieces and medium machine gun each. but it played well. It was fast, it was quick, it felt right for the period, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I need to give it a few more games to really get a feel for it, but I definitely think that the rules will be worth persevering with, and actually plays well and looks really good in 28mm, which is my preferred scale these days. I've got plenty of 15mm for Europe and stuff, and I might even try using rapid fire reloaded and 15mm at some stage, but these days I prefer painting 28mm, and getting older my eyesight's not so flash anymore, so 28mm is kind of my preferred scale these days. I'm not going to restart again in 20mm or anything like that. I'm going to stick to 28s mainly, and as I said, occasionally 15mm as well. So there we have it. I'll try and get another game or so before too much longer, but yeah, I really enjoyed the way that rapid fire played and look forward to using it again. So what happened in the actual encounter? C Company held off the Japanese for the entire 19th, but the Japanese, as they tend to do, attacked at night as well, and eventually they overwhelmed C Company. Only about 20 men managed to escape. The rest were captured or killed. And unlike in a lot of encounters with the Japanese, they didn't immediately execute the paras that they captured. A lot of them were press ganged into service. The Japanese had the GIFs, the Indian Army that they'd been training, accompanying them, and they're not. Yeah, and some reports say that that's part of the reason why they didn't execute the survivors out of hand. But about 20 men eventually did make it back to the British and Indian lines. But yeah, the company was completely overwhelmed and destroyed in that engagement. But the Japanese themselves lost 450 men. More importantly, held them up for a day. Operation Hugo was really critical and dependent on time, and they couldn't afford to dally at all. They needed to capture the British supply dumps and supplies that they were only carrying enough supplies for a couple of weeks on the soldiers. They were going to be relying on everything they could capture off the British. So the British, the Indians pulled back the other two companies the next day and retreated to the Sangshak Peninsula, and that's where the next stage of the battle occurred, and there was a massive engagement on Sangshak Hill that lasted about 5 days through to the 26th, when eventually the paras got the order to fight your way out and try and link up with the British at Imphal. So I'm going to run a battle or two based around the Battle of Sangshak itself in the near future. So yeah, that is all for today. But just before we do go, here's some of the reference I use. There's a couple of really good accounts on YouTube as part of World War II TV. 10 facts about the Siege of Sangshak and the Battle of Sangshak. 50 Para Brigade has a website that's got lots of valuable information. And also I have just purchased and read this book by David Allison, Fight Your Way Out, The Siege of Sangshak, which was a fantastic read and thoroughly enjoyed that. So those are the sources that have inspired this particular engagement for me.